things later. Let me just show my screen as well, because I'll be showing you the articles. Okay, so the first article of the day, folks, is your 28% GST stays on online gaming and casinos, but review after 6 months. So this particular article we have already done. The GST Council had put a 28% tax on this, but there was a lot of hue and cry from the industry. Now, if you see your GS paper, folks, give me a second, folks. Yes. So sorry. So the idea is that if you see your GS syllabus, there is something called as pressure groups in paper number 2. So pressure groups, there are these different kinds of pressure groups. So for example, online gaming industry is a pressure group in itself. It tries to get these changes done in favor of their industry. So like FICCI is a pressure group. So the same thing is that there is this pressure on the government from the online gaming world that reduce this taxation. And the FM has admitted that there is some lack of consensus, and effective from October 1, some relief in bets from winning. There will be some relief that will be given. So this is an important article for you to study, that how these pressure groups can also work in India. Then this is a normal thing. Opposition meets the president and presses the demand for PM statement on Manipur. Now, two important articles here. One is WHO standard good manufacturing practices. Government sets deadline for pharma. Now, this is another issue which has been concerning India's pharma industry, because India is known as the pharmaceutical the pharmaceutical hub, or the pharmacy of the world. Especially for the third world, we provide a lot of these open generic pharmaceutical products. But what is happening in the last few months is that our cough syrups exported has led to a number of deaths in number of countries. Our eye drops have been found to be contaminated in Sri Lanka and other places, and which is basically putting a kind of a blot on our manufacturing practices. And that's why WHO, the government has said that WHO standard of good manufacturing practices must be adopted. This is something important for this year's mains as well as for next year. And this is GMP 2008 revised manufacturing this thing. And companies with a turnover of 250 crores will have to implement the revised GMC within 6 months, while medium and small scale enterprises with less than 50 crores will have to comply with it within a year. And and this decision is important, as only 2,000 of the 10,500 manufacturing units in the country are found to be WHO GMP standards compliant. So you can also read about these GMP standards that are there. What do we mean by that? These GMP standards, that also you can read. Then you can read this article. Then another thing which we'll anyways read in the editorial, which is another female cheetah dies in Kuno. And 9th death since March. We've already lost 40% of the animals that we had imported, and number of things we've already discussed, that all the experts from South Africa and Namibia were kept in dark, and they have alleged that people who are managing India's this Project Cheetah. Now I've asked you to read about Project Cheetah in detail. So Project Cheetah are incompetent. And if you remember, a few months back we had done an article regarding translocation of animals. If I remember correctly, it was translocation of elephants. So translocation is not a very easy exercise. There are a lot of failed translocation projects, because in 1950s cheetah was extinct from our ecosystem, and it takes for an animal, it takes time to get used to this ecosystem. That would be one of the issues. So you can give that kind of dimension as well. So if you remember that article, I had asked you to also note this, because that was important for the environment. I'm sure it was related to elephants. You can probably put a couple of pointers from there as well. Then page number 6, folks. So NCT bill I've already told you to study, but there are two more bills that are there. One is the Jan Vishwas bill and the Forest Conservation bill. Both of them have now been passed by the Rajya Sabha. So the Jan Vishwas bill is something that you can read because it will become a part of the governance portion. So Jan Vishwas bill seeks to amend and promote the ease of business of decriminalizing minor offences through amendments in 183 provision of 42 acts. So there was a lot of provisions in which this was there. Criminalization for small minor things. So what they have done is they've reduced this criminalization in number of acts. So it is kind of an omnibus bill which affects a number of acts in our statute books, and wherever there was unreasonable criminality, unreasonable restrictions being put, unreasonable jail terms being put, all of those are being amended. And if you see, the bill converts many fines. So the bill converts many fines into penalties, and the court prosecution would not be necessary to administer punishments and remove imprisonment as punishment for several offences. All offences under Postal Office Act 1898 have been removed. Then the next paragraph, the working group have representatives from the industry, association, business chambers, legal professionals, legal experts, representatives from 7 ministries as well as from all these boards. And ये कितने सारे उसको कर रहा है. So these are all basically, this shows again good governance. In when we talk about good governance, there is a section of your polity, and how it can be more inclusive, how these different groups, how this is participative governance. So participative governance is one key issue with respect to governance, and this shows that when we open our bills to public comment, when we have all these discussions happening, the views of all these organizations taken, that is part of collaborative and participative governance. Then we have already talked about the Forest Conservation Bill in detail. You can read that. Then you also read this particular article. The opposition seeks House panel study on data privacy report. Government defends it, unlikely to send it for more dissection. So this is another article that you can read. Just on the next page, there is one small article because of what is happening is 2 years psychiatric cases in paramilitary up by 28%, 38%. Maybe you can note this data for some kind of analysis. Then let's come to page number 10. 9 too many. Now this is the article that I was talking about. This is the article which will deal with the tiger deaths. So if you see, I asked you to read about the Project Tiger and Project Project Tiger as well as Project Cheetah. Both projects you should be aware of, and I'm asking you to link it to that project of intertranslocation of elephants. Read about it, and you will be able to give a couple of pointers which will not be given by anyone else. Okay. So we've introduced these from Namibia and South Africa. But if you see, the translocation program have raised serious concerns about the project implementation letter to the Supreme Court. So all these cheetah experts have written to the Supreme Court. We had talked about it in a couple of days ago. The next paragraph, cheetahs were officially extinct in India in 1952. In 1970s, even Indira Gandhi had opened negotiations for bringing Persian cheetahs from Iran. But then it was stopped, and in 2009 again the UPA government had started it. But then the Supreme Court had stopped it. But then in 2020, the Apex Court had allowed this, and it should be under a scientific understanding. But what is there is South African scientists have alleged that the government's new cheetah task force management has little or no scientific training, and foreign experts have been mere window dressing, and a lot of these deaths could have been saved by appropriate veterinary care. So, and this does not give a good picture on our conservation, given that it had a personal record of the Prime Minister involved there. The other article, you can read it, the court's observation, how at times courts do intervene in the executive domain, and then the court itself has said that there is a complete breakdown of law and order machinery in Manipur. And had this been any other state, we would have definitely seen the president's rule being imposed. but because it's a state which is being ruled by the same party which is there on the center, we've not seen such strict. But already the court has already said complete breakdown of of the law and order, which basically, if you see Article 355 of the Constitution, if there is a complete breakdown, the government can impose the president's rule. So this is another thing that you can read. A very good article by Apar Gupta, which is shutdown is no cure. Now this particular article says that we have topped, and this is again issue with this respect to internal security as well as governance. Both places you can use it. You can use it in your ethics. You can use it in your essay as well. Now India has topped the world rankings in terms of the highest internet shutdowns in the world, and since 2018 India has attained this top rank. Now and we've seen that in Jammu and Kashmir there was no internet for 550 days. In Manipur now there are no internet for the last 80 days. But does empirically, if we see, is there a positive impact of shutdown of internet on the law and order situation? This is what this article realizes, or kind of questions. And there are 4 kinds of internet shutdowns that are there. The first kind is basically, if you see, where is it? If you see the second, this paragraph, the first kind is basically where there is complete prohibition on internet. That is there. Then there can also, this is the first time where you completely shut down everything, black out everything. The second is where you have prohibited a restriction on access to medium. So basically, I mean, you do not shut down, you just shut down the internet with respect to your mobile phones, but wired phones you still allow, wired broadband you still allow the internet. This is one kind. The second kind is that you localize it to a specific area and a specific geography. This is the second kind, that in some parts of the city you will have it, some parts of the city you will not have it. Then the third is that you block or whitelist certain websites of certain classes where this internet will be there. So you give them that, okay, you can't access Instagram, you can't access Facebook, but you can access the rest of the internet. So you can do some kind of blacklisting or whitelisting. Now all these 4 methods are being used by the government. When we talk about the first method, if you see the last line, the first method, the restriction of internet by access of medium. Now this is very discriminatory. Why is it discriminatory? Because the access to wired internet, and this is another problem, folks. You can use this data in a number of questions that have been asked, that India can the digital divide, and this digital divide is seen through this wired access. Because a lot of data, a lot of education, and a lot of stuff cannot be consumed only on mobile. You need broadbands. And if you remember, there was this article by Rakesh something who had talked about this public data offices. Just like PCOs, you should have some kind of small packs for internet as well. So something like that we also require. Just going off track, that this is a problem in India with respect to broadband connection. But if you see, only 3.8% of the connections, I mean, are wired access. The rest are all 4G and 3G. So this is a problem. The second and the third method, which is called as limited internet shutdowns, where you limit it with respect to time, where you limit it with respect to geographical area. This has been used in number of areas. For example, Rajasthan. In Rajasthan, it has been used. And the final method of banning virtual private networks, social media, and internet messaging has become very popular recently. What this basically article in the next part says is that limited internet also becomes helpful in case of such situations, because what it does is it asks people to mobilize. For example, it says that in number of protests, for example, in Manipur itself, before this there was another rape incident that happened, and in which through social media people had come together and peacefully protested. So if there is no communication, that also might lead to some kind of violence eruption. So ICT and all of this can be used for a positive spin, for a positive rather than just negative. So basically what this article says is that we are not very sure whether complete ban of internet will be helpful for the area. What we should have maybe is a limited internet ban. But again, this needs to be seen, this needs to be researched upon, is what the article says. We need to see what is the impact of whether the impact of internet is working or not, because in absence of any evidence, if you see the last paragraph, in the absence of any evidence, why we do continue with the faith of curative powers of internet shutdowns, we can also believe in probabilistic notions, and basically this is internet shutdown in blind faith camouflages the censorship powers of the government. So this is a very good article with respect to internet bans. The next article is also a very good article with respect to South versus North. This is something that is going to have ramifications very soon in India, in policy making, in general delimitation. Now, what this article says is that if you go south of Vindhyas, south of say Maharashtra, the Dravidian land, what they say is Dravidian land. If you see the Dravidian land, the BJP is no longer in any of these states, be it Karnataka, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, so in all these areas, this is not there. But what is going to happen in 2026 is a delimitation exercise. You should know about what delimitation exercise is. We had freeze the delimitation exercise through, I think, the 87th Amendment Act to 2026. And it is still based on the 1971 population. So what happens is that on the basis of 1971 population, what we see is that how many seats will go to a particular state from the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. For example, UP has 80 seats from in Lok Sabha based on the 1971 population. Now, what this article says is that there is a huge distinction between all the parameters of development between the north and the south. South of Vindhyas, what we see is education is more in terms of English. Most of the states have their till class 12 they focus on English, and that's why, because English is a universal language, English is a language of basically skills as well. Therefore, if you see the enrollment ratio in higher education, it is much higher in southern states as compared to northern states. If you see the second paragraph of this article, English medium education provides advantage in terms of securing jobs, acquiring skills, entering into the service sector of modern economy. An NSSO survey 2018, English is the medium of teaching in class 12 and higher in high percentage of schools in South India. These are the percentages as compared to, this is where you need to note the data, as compared to Bihar and UP, which is 6% and 14%. So they are shutting themselves out of this global language because till class 12 students are not being exposed to this global language. Then and this has led to the other survey. These are folks, these are data points in education that you definitely note in your copies. Okay. Then All India survey, and you need to know which survey that you are putting. All India survey on higher education institutions 2020-2021 says the gross enrollment ratio on the southern states is much higher, and it's more than 50% as compared to the average of 27% for the entire country. And it has to do with English as a language, because most of the higher education is in English. Then if you see public libraries, next the last paragraph, the South has pioneered in this. Give me 1 second, folks. So this is about, where is it? 3/4 of the libraries are also there in the southern part of the country, and per capita income, if you compare per capita income of Karnataka versus Bihar, it's around 3.9 times. Now all of this basically shows that, and then next term talks about the fertility. But if you see this part of the paragraph, this basically talks about this part of the paragraph talks about that from 1971 till now 2021, the population of the southern states have dropped from 25% to 19%, whereas that of UP and Bihar has gone up from 23% to 26%. So if we are going to use the 2021, once the census is there, then the representation of these states might increase. And the last paragraph is very important. Out of the 848 representatives in the parliament, UP's share is likely to increase by 79%, whereas that of other southern states might not increase by that much. And even the 15th Finance Commission, if you don't know about Finance Commission, you should read about Finance Commission. It had talked about 2011 population, and that had led to the reduction of the funds coming to the southern states from 18% to 15.8%. So all of these are parameters because of which the divide between the south and the north is going to then. The next article, bringing our heritage home. This is a new element that you can add to your answers, is that the government of the day has been focusing on bringing our artifacts back to our country. There's a lot of stolen artifacts and cultural artifacts that have been stolen during the tenure of the previous government. And every time the Prime Minister visits a particular country, one of the discussion points is the artifacts that have been stolen from India in the past should be returned, and that is something that has started to happen, which is a good cultural impact that we are doing. So cultural this thing is being increased, and this is part of the Panch Pran of the Prime Minister taking pride in India's heritage and culture. So the number of examples of what has been returned, you can read that, but you can think of this as a part of the foreign policy where we are doing this. Then, so this was the article that I was talking about. Now, question on Joshimath. Again, an important article with respect to environment as well, that Joshimath as basically a city has been basically is on the landslide area. Basically, this is the entire terrain of this is from glacial landslides. So on that, there have been a number of committees which say that this is a very vulnerable, this is a very volatile area. You should not use any kind of machinery there. But the government has been pushing through what is called as run-of-the-river hydropower projects. But all of these run-of-the-river hydropower projects also require some kind of heavy machinery, and because of that, the geology of the entire region is being changed, and that is why this entire region is becoming vulnerable. This has been pointed out by Ravi Chopra committee. You should note these couple of committees for environment and all these things. Ravi Chopra committee, which was established by the Supreme Court, that the construction of RORs and sediment-rich elevation formed by receding glaciers above main central thrust. MCT is something you should know because that is a part of your geography, by the way. Then that of Joshimath region is an invitation to disaster, and even if there's this MC Mishra committee as well, which talked about that you should not change the ecological structure of this particular region. Then apart from that, even if you're setting up RORs, then you should have some kind of plan B for resettlement of these people. These people have not still been given any kind of resettlement. So this is the article. This is an important article for you to understand how humans are basically playing with the eco structure of this fragile environment. Then coming to two more things. Explain page. You can read the article 370. There's a number of discussion that we've had. But what I'm more interested in, this thing. Search for no resistance. Now, suppose I'll explain you the concept of superconductivity. Now, what is this superconducting property? Superconducting properties is basically if you've ever used say a hair dryer or say a press or any electric device, even your mobile. What happens is if you use it for number of say if you use your hair dryer for 10-15 minutes, what will happen? It will become extremely warm and then it will stop itself. So this is what happens with all electric devices. Now, why does it happen? Is because of this loss of energy that during the conduct of electricity, the elements itself starts get heating. So, for example, you're getting this heat from one place to another place, because what happens is because of the transmission, whatever material that you're using to basically conduct the entire heating process or the energy process, this material will also start to get heated. And it will also because the atoms and or the structure will get changed. This will also start to get heated and provide some kind of resistance. Now this leads to this loss of energy. So let's understand this current, the movement of current first, and then I'll explain you that what superconductivity will do. So if you see this part of the paragraph, this is going to explain what happens in a natural state. A current is a movement of charged particles, electrons, in most cases in a particular direction. So electrons, what is this current? Basically movement of electrons from place 1 to place 2. This is what electricity is about. Then or current is about. Then when the electrons move, they collide, they interact and with other atoms in the material. So for example, this is steel or whatever, copper. So they would also interact with the copper elements of this particular material as well. Their movement is not entirely smooth. It encounters resistance, which is an essential property in electricity conductivity. Resistance involves loss of energy, mostly in form of heat. So the heat gets lost, and part of the reason why electrical appliances get heated is because of this resistance. Now, with respect to this, now let us understand what superconductivity is. Superconductivity is where there is no loss of heat, where there is no resistance that is offered by a material. Usually, superconductivity is only achieved when a material is cooled down to 270 degree Celsius. Once it's extremely cooled down, then the transfer of this energy, the transfer of this current is extremely smooth. There is no resistance at all, and you can save on a lot of power wastage. But what this article is saying is that there was this paper that has been released, which is not being peer reviewed, which shows that under normal temperature, room temperature, and under normal pressure conditions, without putting any other pressure, we have been able to show superconductivity, which has huge implications. If proven, this will be given a Nobel Prize. And then then you can read the super cold temperatures, minus 150 degrees Celsius. You get this superconductivity. Mercury was the first element to show superconductivity, but apart from that, if you put pressure on certain elements, you can also have superconductivity at minus 150 degrees as well. And but at the same point of time, we need to be very cautious, because there have been a number of false dawns that have been there, number of claims which have later been proved to be wrong. So, but I want you to understand the concept of superconductivity. If you still not be able to understand, maybe you can bar it up, you can GPT up. Then how is Aadhaar seeking to use AI to tackle bank payments? You can read this particular article, that how fingerprints and other things, AI authentication is being used. A good article for you to read, but I only want to deal with a couple of more things. One is how Fitch ratings action will impact India and other markets. So Fitch has downgraded recently US from AAA to AA because of the because of number of things, because of their fiscal position. They borrowed a lot, their inflation was a little high. So global rating agencies, which has downgraded US sovereign ratings from AAA to AA plus, expected fiscal deterioration over the next 3 years and growing level of government debt. Then apart from that, India has been upgraded by the way. So that has happened with respect to India. And apart from that, this is the first downgrade. In 2011, Standard & Poor's downgraded for the first time in 70 years from AAA to AA. So these are different kinds of ratings that are given by these credit rating agencies to different kinds of instruments. So it could be a debt instrument, it could be a sovereign instrument. All these instruments are given different kinds of rating. So it has been downgraded. US has been downgraded and India has been upgraded. The other article that I want you to read is greater control for censorship provision likely. So once this bill is introduced today, we'll read upon this bill. We'll do a complete dissection of this particular bill, because it is going to be extremely important for the next 2-3 years. So especially for this year's mains and next year's prelims as well. So you can read this article. that the final version of the bill is still not there. You can read it what it says, but we'll have to do the dissection once the article is once the bill is there. That's about it from my side, folks. We'll now meet tomorrow. Again, I'll inform you if it's possible to have it. If not 5:30, maybe we can start by 5:15, and maybe then slowly move to 5 o'clock. So this is from my side. I'll be starting with the new group, the August cohort. And please, if your dates are different, please let me know on my WhatsApp. I'll add you if your dates are a little different. So thank you very much, folks. I will see you tomorrow. I will see you on Monday morning. All right.